maybe, okay, maybe a better now. I don't know. I'm trying to do different things to light so it doesn't seem so orange. Because I know, like, I looked like pretty orange before. And you're like, is she orange? Does she need to eat something? I mean, help her not be so orange? I'm not orange. I'm not orange. Alright, so today's is, itching my nose. I'm not picking it, I'm just itching it, just so you know. Just so you know. I am silly today because I went to bed at 3 and got up at 7:30. Yeah, anyway. Focus, Christian, focus. So, today's video is on Genesis verse 3, chapter 1, sorry, verse 3. To get some context, you can either read verses 1 through 5 out of Genesis, or look at my other videos, or both, so. But what we're looking at here, it says, and God said, let there be light. And there was light. So first we see God said. He spoke. The voice and sound, there could be none, nor was there any person to whom God addressing his word of power to. He wasn't talking to anybody in particular. He was just saying. He was like, I'm just saying. He just spoke. Okay. Then we look at it and said, well, what did he speak? He spoke, let there be. And we'll see that later on. He'll say, let there be this, let there be that. And boom, 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 boom. I know there's some differences of opinion on that, but just for this video and saying that God spoke instantaneously, creation. And we say that he not just that he spoke, that God spoke, and then he willed it. He said, I'm just like, he willed it to be. You ever, with your mom or your dad or whoever, you're like, give me a cookie. Or have a friend and you're like, call me. Sitting, I don't know if you guys have ever watched How You Met Your Mother. I watched it last year, and they would like talk psychically to each other and will each other to get to, he willed it, God willed it to be. And what did he will it to be? He willed there to be light. So he said, so God spoke. God said, let it be. And he willed it, and then there was light. And what did he will? Light. And it was not just a command. He said, and God said. We see a definite statement here. God said. And you see that a lot throughout Scripture. You see God did this. God spoke here. God, whatever. He, so it was a command. Let there be light. Like you might say, let there not be broccoli on my plate. Okay, now we're going to look at what was this light. Well, the light in of itself isn't. Light is not itself a substance, but it is a condition or state of matter. This is a primeval light, was probably electrical rising from the condensation from friction of the elements as they began to rearrange themselves in order. And this, again, was due to what is commonly called the law of gravitation, or the law of attraction of matter. If on the first day electricity and magnetism were generated, the laws given were created and controlled, then we have in them the two most powerful and active energies of the present and of all time, or possibly two forms of one of the same busiest and relentless force. The law thus given was that of gravitation, of which light was an immediate result. And that comes from Alcott's commentary. So what he's saying here is the light that God says here in verse 3. Because the reason I'm making this a big thing is because later on we talk about how God made the sun, moon, and stars. And there's a huge debate of, well, how did he make light if there was no source for the light? There had to have been a source. He was the source. There's a source for everything. So there. Now, scientifically, we're looking at it and saying this, I can never say primeval, but light was what we're talking about here, and the beginning of elements, the friction, the moving together themselves. Some people say it's a spiritual light. I don't like to spiritualize everything. There's a lot of things that are spiritual, okay? But I don't want to spiritualize everything, because that's not good. You got to look at the real thing. So we look at what Wilcott said here is that, this really that the light was gravitation, that the light was a law of attraction, light was magnetism, it was all these different things in science. And again, I'm not a scientist by any means, but this was kind of interesting. So, and then we look at, there was light. So obviously, there were photons that were stars. For people who are less versed in physics, like me, I don't know really anything about physics. Light comes from mass less particles called photons. Photons are emitted by the sun, and when they hit your eye, either directly or by hitting other objects first, this produces a reaction by which sight is possible. Although the sun is a much bigger source of photons, it's obviously not necessary. Light bulbs produce photons as well. We're not saying that God put a light bulb in. Just saying that these photons here could have been a producer of light at that time. Again, going back to what we said, what is this light? All right, now that quote that I read was from Skeptic Annotated Bible Answers. It's from a commentary or something along that line. So now we look at the original language, like I promised we were going to. And the original language for this verse is actually pretty powerful. It's Yahwami Elohim Yah-Ori Weyahir. And I probably totally mispronounced that. But anyway, Wa is W-A, and it's a conjunction, and therefore it means and therefore also yet. Okay? Yomer, a primitive root to say, or to use with great latitude, is to say an answer, an opponent, an homage, a bid, a boast, self, called, certified, challenge, charge, command, commune, considered, declare, demand, desire, determined, expressed, indeed, and goes on. I'm going to have, once I complete more of these outlines and stuff, I'm going to have them on my Patreon. You guys can go on there and check them out too. So, the next word is Elohim, which is a plural of gods, okay, in the ordinary sense. And what we mean by ordinary sense is like a creator God, a high deity God, a very just God. It's like us saying God. Instead of saying, oh my God, you say, oh my Elohim. No, don't do that. In the ordinary sense, but specifically used, okay, in the plural, especially with the article that we have here. Okay, so we see it is a supreme God, occasionally applied by way of differences to magistrate and sometimes as a superlative. So we're saying that this Elohim, this God, is the high God, the high king God, the God over all, the master God, that kind of thing. I think you guys get the idea. Alright. And then we have Yahi, a primitive word again, to exist. That means to exist, that is, be or become, come to pass. There's a bunch of other definitions here, but that pretty much just, again, it means along those same lines. The next word is or. It's like our word or, but it's O-R. I guess, yeah, O-R. That is our word or. Station. Alright, and it means illumination, luminary. It can mean in the sense of concretely, in the sense of lightning and happiness, or on like that. The next word is what? It's a conjunction, and it means and therefore also yet and then and yet. Sorry. Then we have a yari, Y-H-I-Y, a primitive word again. We had that word before. Again, it means to exist, that is, to be or become, come to pass. And then we have the organ, again, illumination, luminary, lighting, happiness, bright, clear day, morning, etc. So, I hope you guys like it. I do appreciate all the really good comments you guys have left on the Prove God Exists video and the other ones that I've made. Catch you in the next one, I guess. I don't have anything else. Bye. Beep.